Okay, so we're recording here, and we'll set that up there. We'll see how that's going to look. You'll be able to see both of us. All right.
All right.
This is exciting.
Look.
We're live and recording audio. We're multimedia. Yes. So welcome to those of you with us on Facebook. We're also recording this to share in other ways afterwards. But my name is Laura Jane, and I'm here
John Childers.
with John Childers.
She's been my friend for a long, long time. 20 plus years.
Yes. And it's really just like dreams coming true to get to do this with you. It really is. And I know that what's going to come through here is important, and we get to add a new piece to the understandings of yoga is my hopes, and maybe even enrich the yoga community and beyond.
The yoga community. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, so we did have some pre-established questions that I may weave in here, and then we'll also allow for content to come through as guided. Yes.
Ask a question.
So, yes. I think, maybe the first nice piece would be if we could ask you to share how you like to tell your yoga story as to how you got into this world of yoga and where you're at now with it.
Great. In the early 80s, I was very disillusioned with transformation of society through social protest and economic revolution. And I became to realize that the real revolution was going to be a revolution within. In those days, I used the word metaphysical, like that. And I basically became interested in Zen meditation and shamanism. I was that everything is sacred in the shamanic world. Zen meditation was a way without dogma, without text, or that you could tap in and be part of this infinite web of life consciousness. And so that was in the 80s, and that's how I found yoga. People found yoga, injuries, this, that, and the other. I found yoga through meditation. Very different, really. I was into full moon meditations on the heart of Christ, meditations with the mountain, Zen style meditation where form is emptiness and emptiness is form. And we did guitar meditations, and we hosted events, and someone came and did a yoga meditation. I thought, wow, a yoga meditation. Because it was designing the body so that you could tune into the breath and your consciousness and be a tuning device for the divine that was enhanced my shamanic meditation practice. And so I started moving into yoga that way. And I was a public school teacher, and then I finally decided that if I could teach anything, the most exciting thing to teach would be yoga. And so I slowly weaned myself off public school teaching and started teaching yoga full time.
Yes. So how many years would you say it's been officially that you've been in the teaching side of yoga?
Since 1990.
Yeah.
In 1990, I moved to Orange County and started teaching at Visions and Dreams bookstore. And 2 years later, Yoga Works opened up, and I participated there. And then Sports Club Irvine and other things, my own studio, private practice, yoga therapy.
Yes, yes. And we got to meet because you were one of the reasons I realized I wanted to teach yoga, and I was fortunate to get to follow you and help you with your studio opening and with the development of your teacher training program, and I got to be in your first teacher training, which was my first year-long teacher training, in which I got pregnant with my daughter halfway through.
You realize nobody does programs like this. Is before they had Yoga Alliance was in existence in 1989. Really was just coming into existence then, 200 hour and 500 hours. And like I said, well, anybody want to become a yoga teacher, you got to plan on like a year.
Yeah.
And so the original first program was a year program. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody does that anymore. It's sort of sad. Yoga's been sort of, really watered down, and really the teacher training programs have been to, pay the outrageous rents that studios have to pay. It's true. Not really, in my book,
Yes, John's book.
Oh yeah, in my book, A Yoga Pill for Every Ill, I describe 6 levels of becoming a teacher. The first level is a buddy. It's called the impeller, or that the first step in becoming a yoga teacher is to invite somebody to come to a yoga class. You actually are like there, and that's the first level. The next level would be is sort of like you're maybe like an assistant in the class. You bring people to class. Can you imagine teacher training program? It's all self-centered. No one's actually bringing anybody with them. Like, I want to teach yoga. I want to share yoga with my friend here, and this, it's all like somehow there are clients out there, and I'm getting in here. I think that's that first step is to just invite somebody in the buddy system, and then to be an assistant, and then to take on, and really then to be an instructor. An instructor. They teach a set series of postures. That's nice. But they're an instructor. They teach the same postures, and they teach them safely and adapted, more or less. Nothing special. Then, to really be a teacher, you have to be able to expand and maybe stylize postures or breathing techniques for specific injuries, for healing, for emotional stresses that you want to address. And then, the final level of being a yoga teacher would be someone who can light the lamp of physical and spiritual knowledge within the individual.
Yes.
So anyway, I don't know why I put out all that in, but a teaching, and the concept is so different now, because before, really, yoga, you would be, first of all, it would be only men. Second of all, it would only be, Brahmin men of class. So, the slaves, the women, and any other, they don't even get to do this. And that it would be, in a way, pulled away from society. Of course, you didn't have any rights. Well, the Brahmins had a little bit of rights, but, you didn't get to vote for anybody. You were devoted to your guru. And so no one had rights to vote. I mean, come on. Really? Peasants? Work in the fields, they got no rights to vote. Women, ethnic minorities, no rights to vote. But you could be devoted to Buddha. You could be devoted to a spiritual practice. And I think that our concept of this devotion has now been even translated in modern society into voting. And I couldn't emphasize enough how important it is for you to be devoted to your personal practice and to vote for your social issues that you care about.
Yes. And I'm so glad you bring that up, because I feel like you've been talking about this for 20 years at least, since I've been around, the importance of how our yoga is translating into how we are in the world, and how much it is even our vehicle to realize how connected we are to all people and all beings, and even how we can be acting in the world. Like that's what our yoga can be about. I feel like you've been talking about that since 20 years ago, and I know now more than ever. I hear that you're really feeling that and seeing that, and yeah, so I feel like we might as well get into that. Like when you were talking about your feelings on modern yoga.
So a couple things there. The sense of community would be, again, going back to really would be like a buddy system, which would be discipleship, as opposed to a corporate structure. Part of the problem with our corporate structure in our society as a whole is this notion of separation. We really grew up with material matter separated by empty space. But now, with quantum mechanics, we know that there's not really solid matter at all, and there's no such thing as empty space. In my book, I say matter is the illusion of something, and space is the illusion of nothing. This illusion really has to do with the separation between you and me and ourselves. It's an illusion to think that you are somehow separate. I'm here. Your atoms are constantly back and forth. Literally, 7 pounds of water and food and air are transferred every day. You are more like a river than a noun, and you are more like an interbeing than an isolated being. And when you're inviting me with this modern concept, is modern thing was that everybody was separate, and there would be a separate being here and a separate being here, and somehow the emotions or the thoughts and the feelings, they're separated by empty space. But now we see the space is not empty at all. Especially now with modern technology, we now see that the microwaves come right through the walls, into my phones, into the machines. We now are actually made visible the invisible world, which we used to sort of discredit. Or we would we discredit, like the placebo effect. Well, it's totally real, but we can't explain it. How consciousness changes your chemistry to heal you miraculously. Wow. How I can talk via a satellite? Well, the cell phone, I like the cell phone. Look at that. It's that big. How many cell phones could you put in your head? Wow. Dozen of them. We must be like a dozen times more capable than a cell phone to communicate, to record all of life. So anyway, I think we want to be in that place. And so the modern world teaches us, the postmodern world, or the quantum world, teaches us that matter is not so solid, separated by empty space. That really matter is an infusion of consciousness, or at least a field of intelligence, or at least love, or at least some sort of something that fills the quantum vacuum space of the atom that is 99.99999% of the atom. And so that there's a relationship, and nothing is separate anymore. Nothing is separate anymore. You and your spiritual evolution cannot be separate from the evolution of life on planet Earth. The expansion of your consciousness cannot be separated from the expansion of the cosmos themselves. Evolution is happening, and we are developing higher states of consciousness through what I would even say refined senses of perception. And of course I'm referring to senses beyond, perception beyond the five senses. That somehow we were able to, with our Nazi and our Indian, that we were able to tap into emotions and feelings and thoughts of other people.
Mm.
We see it with the cell phone. You start to text and they text you right back. How's that possible? Because consciousness is not in your body. Your body is just a tuning device. The consciousness is non-local. The consciousness is all being co-created and creating together. And that you, even though you are separate, and you must heal by yourself, you must be responsible for your part, but you are inseparable from the whole. And the metaphysical term that Aristotle uses, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Humanity is greater than a sum of individuals. Your actual evolution of your spirituality is greater when you tap into the evolution of life on earth. You must heal by yourself, but you can't do it alone. Because you cannot pull yourself away from the whole. Really, all of nature is going from separate parts into more complicated whole parts. From, basically, electrons forming, atoms forming, molecules forming, cells forming, organisms forming, biospheres forming, solar systems. This is a time of great evolution, and I think we're really going beyond modern thought that had us separated as individuals. The old knowledge would be is if everybody would just take care of themselves, everything would get taken care of. The problem is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And when you bring the whole together, when you bring the people together, that's, that something else arises. Creativity, synchronicity, love arises from connection. If everybody takes care of themselves, then everything will get taken care of. Is a lonely world in which synergy is not a part of, in which innovation is dampened because of separation. I like the term co-create. We are all co-creating. You are not an insignificant part, and you are not the whole. You are a part of the whole and inseparable from the whole. And as such, you have to be responsible for yourself. As soon as I said that, I realized this is myself. It's really, my notion of self has to be expanded to include the flowers and trees and the atoms that are falling into me now. Then my sense of self has to include all my relationships with the family of humanity. That myself it's impossible to take care of myself without taking care of the environment around me. The modern concept of self is so limited, so skin-encapsulated ego. It's a skin-encapsulated ego. But the truth of the matter is we have permeable membranes. You flow in and out of me. Food flows in and out of me. But also the love and the relationships, that also flows in and out of me. Interbecoming. I think this is the place where we're at now. That's an awful lot of response to going beyond modern thought. But I think it's true. It's an interbeing thought. It's heal by yourself but not alone thought. It's, well, we got this. Swami Satyananda, someone asked, what's the difference between illness and wellness? And he said, illness begins with I. Wellness begins with we. To go beyond modern thought is to go beyond individual thought and have a we thought. I keep looking for the me that will translate all of our concepts. We is just a me turned upside down. Your separate sense of self is just turned upside down we. We don't really heal by ourselves anyway. Loneliness is the biggest killer of all. Sadness, separation. In some respects, I think you heal and that I heal because we have children. We have friends. We do it not for ourselves, but because we're in service. We're in relationship with others. To heal yourself in some respects is such a limited notion of yourself. I talked an awful lot. I'm sorry.
I love it. That's what we're here for. We're asking for it. I love this interbecoming and interbeing. Because I really love to share that I feel like that word yoga really just means union, or to join, or to connect.
So,
right?
so why not? Why limit to connecting your body and mind?
Yeah.
And if this union, this union is with all of life.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about the modern thing, like in the yoga thing. And I think this is really important. What's happened over the last 2,000 years is we've had the development of writing, numbers and letters. 10,000 years ago, we didn't have that. 10,000 years ago, by the way, all of societies worshipped the divine feminine because she brought birth and life. As agriculture comes in, as we develop the written word, really, the goddess goes down in value and the word comes up in value. Here's just, the book is called The Alphabet and the Goddess. It's really rather impressive because you got to remember, we had the Inquisition and we killed 500,000 women over 400 years. Every midwife, every herbologist, anyone who had any connection to the web of life. The male, right-handed, reductionistic, materialistic, burn them at the stake. Really, my thoughts here are just as heretical. As Galileo said, the sun doesn't rotate around the earth. The earth rotates around the sun. Oh, you'll go to jail for the rest of your life if you say that. Will I go to jail for the rest of my life if I say it's not true that if everyone takes care of themselves, everything will get taken care of? It's only when we wake up to a we-ness, that an interdependentness, an interbeingness. And of course, this means really opening up the whole world in reverence. Interbeing, interbecoming. You know what? And then you don't have to hate anybody. Because they hate, I hate blah, 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 racist, sexist. No. And what do you want to manifest in this world? Hate or love? What's the unifying development? Love. So really, we have to love racist. Difficult, but doable. Because when we're really truly interbeing, when we're really truly one, we realize that if I was exposed to, let's just say, racism or prejudice of any sort, or anger or violence, or that I would too if I was in that environment and grew up in that environment, I too would behave and think like they do. This is what real compassion is. I have compassion for you. I feel it. I understand that you feel like you're a separated person. You feel like you're here and I'm over there. That's what it seems like on the but if we look to the story behind the story of our being, of our essence, that we would feel more compassion, more unity. That if we really are yoga's union, then I can't actually hurt you because it's hurting me. I don't want to hate you because then I'm hating me. So we want to find a way to embrace, really, I call biosphere empathy. It's a warm-heartedness towards all of life. And then we will not have this we certainly won't want to punish people as much as we want to heal people. Or educate people. No more punishing people.
Right, and how much that comes from how we've been doing that with ourselves too, right?
Totally.
Thinking about what you were saying with your revelations about our approach to weight loss, for instance.
Yes.
And the emotions and the energy that has been going into that as like an example, right?
Here's the conventional wisdom. Eat less, exercise more. What's eat less? Deprivation. Exercise more? That sounds like punishment. Why? It could be in part given the Christian tradition that you were born a sinner, that you need to be punished for that. Of course, the shamanic people would say your birth is a blessing and that you are here as a gift, that you are endowed with gifts of creativity, love, and wisdom to share. So I would say, do not deprive yourself. Add nutritious food to your diet. Add. Do not diet. Add. Look for healthy berries. Look green algae. Come on. Add to your diet. Add to your nutrient. And then exercise. Exercise. How about live, play. Increase your metabolic rate by raising your consciousness, by raising your vibration up for more music, more art, more culinary excellence. Better? Feels better, doesn't it? Somehow we're all aiming for the wrong thing. It's consciousness. It's wisdom, creativity, and love that's really behind everything. That's the story behind the story. So why are you doing this all on the outside for material things? And I think that's what the real yoga thing is like, I do this for my inner beingness. Again, I don't think we heal. I don't think we heal so much by ourselves. Because you're not by yourself. you're not by yourself. So yourself includes all your relationships with your family, your neighbors, with the grass, animals. And then our actions are not based out of a skin-encapsulated ego sense of self, but more out of a expanded sense of self. I think that the yoga community really is ready to head towards. Because we're not so separate. Any other questions?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about what you were talking about earlier before we got on camera with maybe traditions in the past, and even the approaches with the yoga and meditation has been about becoming this kind of self-encapsulated look within, renunciate the world,
and find God within.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's been the fundamental sort of expression for the last 2,000 years, and it's really Sri Aurobindo. And I think also the Tantra Kundalini folks in the 13th, 14th centuries, it also has similar ideas of connectedness. Where was I? I lost my train of thought.
Maybe somewhere.
Yeah. The renunciant. See, and that's when they constantly quote Patanjali. And Patanjali is basically sort of saying, renounce the world, withdraw and look within, as opposed to realizing the interbeingness. And now, I don't know, I think with the global coherence, we have a global economy, we have a global labor force, we have global telecommunication, we have global climate change. And these are undeniable things. And and we also, we now actually have the capacity to destroy the world. It's time for an evolutionary leap of consciousness, that our individual consciousness now needs to really move into this grander interbeing consciousness. It's interesting, even like on men and women and procreation, and we don't need more people. What we need is people to connect not their genes but their genius. And I think that we see this incredible rise of the feminine. Holy moly, come on. Let the women of the world bring us a good example of where we are going beyond modern thought. Modern society was run by men. The new society will be co-created with women. I really think that's I think that the divine feminine is coming, is here. You see it. God bless it. I always say we got to end war. War is based upon separation, and somehow there's those people over there that I'm over here. This is bad and I'm good. That's a duality thought, not very unity. Not much, yoga is union there. So this war imagery. So we have all these things that are the other. It's a war on terrorism. Okay, well that's easy. How about war on cancer? Well, war on drugs. We have a war between the sexes. I think that we're never going to find peace on earth until we find peace between men and women. How to find peace between men and women. How to find peace between you and the other. All my talk won't help. Well, will help a little bit, but let's talk about the breath for a second.
Yes.
Watch. We have the inhalation is the feminine. The exhalation is the masculine. Inhalation, receptivity. Exhalation, male, giving forth. Now, this breath, you could also think about it as sun and moon. Inhaling moonlight, exhaling sunlight. Inhale glowing in the moonlight. Exhale sparkling in the sunlight. Inhale flower glowing in the moonlight. Exhale a diamond sparkling in the sunlight. So we have we live in a duality world. We have hot and cold, but that's not the truth of the matter. There is no hot. There is no cold. The yin and yang symbol is really good. First of all, it shows that the two, the white and the black, the male and the female, the sun and the moon, the in and the out, they're woven together as sort of paisley shapes. You know, they're not sort of two separate, they're spun into one another, right? But there's more than that. There's a circle of white in the black field, and there's a circle of black in the white field. Your male and female energies are always holding an aspect of the other. The men got to come to grips with the feminine within them, and the women are now being empowered. When we inhale to the heart, this is a feminine thing. Inhale and expand the chest, the heart, the sensitivity. Exhale from the abdomen, the lower chakras, the power, the material, the fire. And then inhale back to the heart. But now keep the heart lifted as you exhale. And now keep the abdomen slightly engaged as you inhale. So you could think about these 2 points. That in the inhalation there's still a light abdominal connection. That I don't just bloat everything out. That I still hold an anchor even though I'm being uplifted. And then as I exhale, I don't collapse into the ground as I root down. I keep myself lightly lifted as I exhale and ground. It's dynamic tension between inhalation and exhalation. And it's a dynamic tension between you as an individual and you as a member of the family of humanity. Your individual self holds an element of humanity, but humanity also holds an element of you. understanding our social and personal evolution is really where yoga is at today. That we're creating a expanded consciousness of self. That is no longer a skin encapsulated self. More like a holographic aspect of self, where the whole is contained in the part, and the part is contained in the whole. We're looking for wisdom to guide us. We have all the money. We have all the technology to heal and feed and shelter everyone in the world. But we don't feel that bit of humanity in us. So we keep holding on, holding on. I think it's the wrong values that part make it, that we're holding on to really material things. Like, yeah, there's limited number of flat screen TVs that can be produced in the world, and a limited number of cars that can be produced in the world, and somehow we value those, and they're in limited supply. There's only so much natural resources. There's not enough to give everyone in the world a car. Nor would we want to. We'd destroy it. It would actually destroy the planet. But what if we valued music or art, creativity, friendship? There's an unlimited supply of music in the world. There's an unlimited supply of art, unlimited supply of friendship. Changing our perspective. The yin-yang, the white and the black, the you and the me, are woven together, and there's a little bit of me and you, and a little bit of you and me. There's a little bit of the exhalation and the inhalation that keeps us grounded. There's a little bit of the inhalation and the exhalation that keeps us uplifted. Interbeing, woven together, or wisdom philosophy. You mentioned yoga as unity and oneness. The question I'm often asked is, how are you going to protect yourself? That implies a separate notion of self that could be protected. The moment I'm an interbeing self, it's a different thing. You know, all the guns, I think, is about, wanting to protect myself. Like the world is an unfriendly place. I think this unity that we're looking for has to do with this friendship. As Einstein said, the most important decision that you will make in your life is whether you decide the universe is a friendly or an unfriendly place. A sense of interbeing in an unfriendly world sounds very unfriendly, very not nice. A sense of interbeing in a friendly world is like joy, it's like laughter, it's like that's what it's all about. And so there's nothing to protect if I'm inseparable from you. But we have to believe this on a heart level. We can't do it in lip service. I'm going to tell one story, but I think this story is just like, it's the essence, it's the essence of what I believe to be true. I was living in downtown LA, not quite downtown, mid-Wilshire, Alvarado and Wilshire. The Park Plaza Hotel, I'm on the 9th floor. Well, MacArthur Park is drug deals, assassinations, gang violence, all that. I'm parked right on the edge of MacArthur Park, and I'm with a friend. And I probably have on a white shirt and a tie. I see this guy coming out of the park. He's got a big broad brim hat and a trench coat. And I thought to myself, may peace prevail on earth. This guy keeps walking up towards me. His trench coat opens up. He's got no shirt on. I think to myself, we are one. I go back to my friend. This guy walks up to me. Oh, he's about as far away as you are from me. Reaches into his jacket, pulls out a pistol, puts it in front of his head, like this. And I say, what you do to me, you do to yourself. He puts the gun in his bag and walks by me. The moment we really believe in oneness, in interbeingness, then we can actually look at others and say, we are one. And you got to be able to do this now with all your heart. Well, all your true, because if you don't, well, you're not part of their world, and it's easy for them to off you, hurt you. You're not part of them. The moment you really believe this, I am part of you. We share the same world too. I feel the air, I feel you. At that point, doing violence seems wrong. The solution to world peace is interbeing. And see a joint evolution of spirit. That we are all rising together. It's a hard one. It's tough. But it's not that tough. You can look at every person and say, I see your mother. Oh yeah, you've got a family too. You get thirsty. I get it. I feel you. Let's work together.
Yeah. And as you bring up that idea of, because when you were talking about whether or not we should be protecting ourselves from others, and I hear about that a lot in spiritual circles, you should, do these protection rituals with your energy fields or whatever, and that has not resonated for me so much. And yeah, but to really realize how the connection is primary, right? And to instead embrace that inner beingness, right? And
yeah. And actually, you can look at people. You can do this too. You don't have to protect yourself against them. It's like I'm wishing them well. I'm wishing, I don't want to protect myself from these people. I wish them well. Now, that does not necessarily mean that they're on my path.
Mm-hmm.
I think the secret to protecting yourself is recognizing who's on your path and who's not.
Mm.
My favorite expression would be, I wish you well. I really give you the wings of harmony to fly. Away from me. But like the fly, I don't think that I'm on your path. I'm not here to, you're on your path. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have to protect myself from you. Matter of fact, I think sometimes sometimes maybe we should, deal with what we don't like. Like sometimes I maintain relationships on Facebook with people who have the exact opposite political perspectives that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to understand. See, part of their understanding is that the protection is, how come you can't take care of yourself? Why are you bothering me? As opposed to, wow, you're like, we got to find a way to bring you in. Like protect yourself from homeless people. Really? I'm wishing them well, and I want to find ways to help. I hear what you say. Protect yourself. Don't associate yourself with these people over here because they're protect yourself against that. The negative. Oh, look. My guy came. But there you go, see?
Yeah.
My interbeing. My interbeing.
Interbeing. Well, I think the NFP time for us to bring it to a conclusion, and I think that we should plan to do more of these, if you'd be willing.
We have to find ways to make them into shorter, tighter scenarios.
Yeah.
I
can do that too.
I am too. I'm too expansive in my drive, in my desires. When our personal consciousness growth, development, expansion is connected to the expansion and the evolution of consciousness on Earth. See, I think that the notion that somehow you evolve separate from me is a myth. Not only do you not evolve separately from me, but you don't evolve separately from the plants and the animals and the trees. It's helpful to remember that not always was Earth looked like this. Just to go back a short while, when we had dinosaurs, it's helpful to think and remember that there were no flowers during the time of the dinosaurs. Flowers evolved with mammals. And of course with the insects and the birds and the whole thing. We are inseparable from our environment. We're evolving with it. And the technology has shown us that we are really more connected than we ever thought we were. And we now have actual visualization. You can actually see the connection. You can feel the telepathic connection in your phone as you Push the button and they answer before you push the button. And so I like this concept of spiritual evolution, that that planet Earth is evolving. I like Peter Russell's concept of the global brain, that we are actually, like human beings, are like individual cells connecting on the surface of the planet to create one biosphere empathy, one really global consciousness. And it will be all life. All life. We're really going to keep experimenting on dogs? No. Are we really going to keep enslaving animals? No. Are we going to keep enslaving ourselves? I hope not. And there's more healing power in stating what you are for than what you are against. I'm in favor of a union, of a wholeness that we sense on a sixth sense, invisible field. It nourishes all of us.
It's like ultimate yoga to me. Well, I know I would love more of this, so thank you so much.
All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. You are sparkly divine creativity, love, and wisdom. Do not doubt your power to co-create your life and the lives of those around you, including me and Laura Jane. Bye.